My name is Clint, and this is Yin Yoga, and welcome. We're going to start today in Sukasana, or a regular seated pose. Now you can use the block underneath your hips, which is something I'm going to do. I always do, because it helps me tip my pelvis forward, and that allows my knees to come down to the mat, which is really important to release your groins. And in Yin, that's what you want to do. You want to release those muscles so that you can relax. I'm going to add one other thing to this pose, and that's going to be a forward fold. About halfway through, you can come down onto a block or just come forward. So, get an erect spine, the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Rest your hands wherever is comfortable. Allow your eyes to close and take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose and exhale it out through your nose. And another cleansing breath in through your nose, out through your nose, and let your breath come to its own natural rhythm, in and out through your nose. By breathing in and out through your nose, you're actually improving the efficiency of your lungs. Because as the air rushes through your nasal cavities, down the back of your throat, in addition to being cleaned and warmed and moistened in preparation for your lungs, it's also building pressure so that you can get about 25% more air into your lungs, because it's at about 1.25 atmospheric pressures. So you get to claim about the same amount more oxygen on every breath. Throughout today's class, all you need is your regular breath. Notice which parts of your lungs inflate first. And notice that point when you begin to transition from inhale to exhale, or exhale to inhale. Now would be a good time to also do a scan of your body and notice what's going on today. If you have an injury or a soreness that is unusual, or if it's a chronic affair. Pay attention to it when you are in the poses, so that you don't aggravate that injury. On your next inhale, open your eyes. And I talked so much that we don't have time to do the forward fold. But if you're on a block, remove the block, place it aside, and then stretch out your legs towards the front of your mat. Bring your hands behind your hips, and then come all the way down to, I'm sorry, I am really screwed up here. Sit back up. We're going to
Take a breath.
Yeah, take a breath.
Yeah.
I think I was doing that. Okay, we're going to do the double swan first. It's going to be a right leg will be on top, but to start, bend your left knee so that your ankle is roughly parallel to the front of the mat. And then you'll want to take the other ankle and try to get it parallel. And if you can stack your feet, that's good. If you can stack a foot over your calf, that's good. Maybe if you're more flexible, maybe you can even bring the foot on top of the opposite knee. You can always use a block to shim up that other knee. Now the target of this pose is your glutes. You get some stress and tension in both of your glutes and both of your hip points. Now, if your legs just aren't going to cooperate, you can always straighten out the bottom leg. And then this will be just like swan. And if this doesn't work, you can always go on your back and do a reclining swan. And I'll get into that in a minute. But you will miss out on the shoulder work. So, and if the alternative also is just to sit cross-legged. So from here, close your eyes and just rest your hands on your legs for a moment. Breathing in and out through your nose. Get both sit bones engaged to the floor. And then open up your eyes. Take your left palm out, facing up, and move it towards the right front corner of your mat. Take your right arm underneath so that your right elbow is underneath the left, and bring your palms up. Maybe your palms can come together. I started on this side because I can do it on this side. I can't on the other. That's okay. Do what you can. Maybe just getting your arms crossed this way is all you can do, or maybe just grabbing opposite shoulders. From here, lift your elbows just a little bit, push them forward, and then listen carefully. Try to lower your shoulder blades in the back. And notice your elbows and your arms will come down also. And breathe. Close your eyes. Go inside your body. Feel what's happening. And breathe into wherever you feel the sensations are greatest. And on your next exhale, release. Bring your arms way out to the side. And then bring both palms together in front of you. Interlace your fingers. And then supinate your palms, pushing your palms away. Straighten your spine here. And then begin to raise your palms up towards the ceiling. And feel how your chest gets opened up. And then release. This time, take your right arm up towards the ceiling and pat yourself on the back. Take your left arm out to the side, thumb down. Bend that elbow. Bring the back of your left hand and walk it up your back. Maybe you can make it bind with your right hand, maybe not. But you get the pleasure of Opening up both shoulders in different ways at the same time. On your next exhale, release. Bring your arms back down by your side and your elbows like robot arms. Grab a couple of baby birds in your hands so you're not squeezing. And then just rock your shoulders, your elbows back and forth, bringing more fluid into that shoulder socket. And by now you've completely forgotten about your hips. Remove any blocks or other shims that you have employed. Help your feet and your legs come back to the front of the mat. You have a few options here. You can push your heels away and wave your feet from left to right, which will twist your femurs and your hip sockets. Or you could do some sort of windshield wiper. And the next time you come to center, pause. Come down onto your elbows, all the way down onto your back. Walk your feet up towards your sit bones. And then bring your knees into your chest and squeeze and rock from left to right, massaging your spine. And the next time you come to center, pause. From here, we're going to do a spinal twist. So bring your arms out into T. And on an exhale, lean your knees to the left. And as your knees come down, you can always grab that right knee with your left hand. You can gaze off towards your right hand if that's within your practice. You can also straighten out that top leg, your right leg, reaching for that sidewalk. That will stretch your IT band. And if you did any hiking or biking or pickleball today, you probably need that stretch. Your IT band is one of the few muscles that's attached not to adjacent bones, but it's attached, it originates up in your pelvis, and then it attaches to your tibia, the big bone in your lower leg. You'll stretch across your pecs. This is a twist of your spine. Just one of the directions your spine is intended to move. Try softening your glutes and soften your lower belly. And breathe into wherever you feel sensation. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your knees back to center. Draw them into your chest and give yourself another squeeze. Push your hips away so that you can rock all the way from your hip and shoulder on one side to hip and shoulder on the other, massaging that spine. And the next time you come to center pause, from here, release one leg out to the front of the mat, push that heel away. Then release the other leg, push that heel away. Raise your arms up towards the ceiling and then onto the floor beyond your head. And stretch from your palms to your heels, your toes to your fingers. And then just relax. The next pose is banana, on the left side. So your hips are super glued to your mat. They cannot move. So now all of you have been trained how to scooch your shoulders to the left. You don't have to come very far. And then once your shoulders have come a bit, walk your feet over towards the left, keeping your hips in the same place. So you look like a banana to a bird flying overhead. And you should feel a pretty nice sensation on your right side body. Maybe your organs are a little bit upset about this. If so, take a diaphragmatic breath using your diaphragm to push your organs down below your rib cage. And then when they go back, they'll have a little bit more space. Breathe into your right side body. Sometimes it's easier to start at the top by your armpit, and then with successive breaths, breathe down towards your kidney. Do it however works best for you. Keep that right hip down. If you'd like to intensify this, you can always lift that right foot up an inch or two and place it over the top of your left ankle. A side bend is another of the 6 ways your spine is supposed to bend. You can also grab your right wrist with your left hand and push that right hand away, opening up that right armpit. The most important thing is to find some peace and to calm those muscles. And when those muscles start to soften, they'll transfer the tension into your fascia. And that will stimulate new growth in your fascia. New growth will give more space inside your body, will give you more flexibility, and more importantly, more mobility. your next exhale, walk your feet back to center. Scooch your shoulders back to center. Use both hands, helping each other return to the front of your body. Your shoulders may be a little tender. And then begin to walk your feet up towards your sit bones, keeping your sacrum on the mat. And bring one knee into your chest, give yourself a squeeze. Point your toe and then flex your foot. Then add the other leg. And then begin to rock from left to right, or maybe make some circles on the ceiling with your knees. The next pose will start from a seated position, so you have a couple of options of getting there. One is just to cross your ankles here and rock forwards and backwards, or you can just roll over onto your right side. Use a hand to rise back up. This next pose is going to be caterpillar. So caterpillar is a forward fold with your legs out straightish. I highly recommend having your legs, your feet about hip width apart, which is 2 fist widths can fit between your arches. So that will give your hips a little more space in which to operate. So from here, sit up straight, crown of your head up towards the ceiling. And then on an exhale, begin to walk your hands forward, bringing your collarbones towards the front of your mat. And then when your body says to pause, you can allow your head to fall forward. You can allow your spine to soften and round. Now this pose works to stretch both your spine and your hamstrings, those muscles on the backs of your legs. Try to soften your belly here. Now, if you are being urged to pull on your legs by using your hands, that would be a different class. That's Hatha Yoga. In Yin, gravity does all the work. Breathe into wherever you feel those sensations and urge your muscles to soften. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands back up. If you're on the block, carefully remove it. Bring your hands behind your hips. Bring your footprints to the mat. Now your feet can be together, they can be wide, or anything in between. But notice how your hips feel right now. And then as you begin to windshield wiper, notice where the sensations are. They may be high up in your hips. They may be in your inner thighs. You may even feel this in your lower back. The next time you come to center pause, we need to get into table for the next pose. Thread the needle. So once you come into table, I always recommend you never have to be asked to do a couple of cat-cows. Your back wants it, your shoulders want it, and your hips want it. And the next time you come to center pause, lift your left arm out to the side, and then inhale, lift it up. On the exhale, lower that left hand behind the right wrist and way off to the side with the palm up. And come down onto your left shoulder, left cheek. And from here, come up onto your right tippy fingers and begin to walk that hand forward. It might be a little, it might be a lot. But try to hollow out your armpit. But if it's painful, don't do it. I'm not going to be here very long. But this twist, you can feel this in your spine. You're also getting a nice inward rotation and extension of your left shoulder and an extension of your right shoulder. Continue to breathe in and out through your nose. And notice how your body position adjusts how you breathe. And notice that you don't have to tell your lungs how to work. Everything is done for you. And on your next exhale, bring that right hand back next to your face. Push the floor away. Extract your left arm out and up. And then come back down at the table and do a few cat-cows. And the next time you come to center pause, walk your hands back, come up onto your knees, and we're here to camel. Okay, does anyone else need a block? Okay. We're going to start on the right side for half camel. So you can put that block next to your right foot. It can be the high level, can be low, medium. You have lots of options here. Bring your hands to the back of your hips. Lift your chest high. And then bring that right arm up towards the ceiling and then rotate it towards the back. And then with your hips squared to the front, reach back. Maybe you can bring that hand down to your heel or to that block. And try to square up your shoulders. Push your hips forward. This is another direction your spine is intended to bend, backwards. This is stretching your rectus abdominis, which is your six-pack, your abdominal muscles that span all the way from your pubic bone up to your lung, up to your bottom ribs. Then on an inhale, release, come up, bend your knees, come down, spread your knees, bring your toes together, and walk your hands forward into child's pose. We won't be here real long, but let your belly go. Breathe into your belly. Let your elbows and your forearms rest on the mat. Try tucking your tailbone under. That will lengthen your spine. And the reason why child's pose feels so good is it's a bit of a forward fold. On your next inhale, rise back up into table. Do a couple more cat-cows. They ought to feel pretty good right now. And the more you can exaggerate these cat-cows with your belly dropping, your chest coming forward, your sit bones lifting and separating, rounding your spine, tucking your tailbone, chin coming toward your chest. It brings relief to all those muscles that you were stretching in child's pose and in camel. Okay, so the next time you come to center pause, right arm goes out and then up. And exhale, thread the needle. Right hand goes way off to the left, palm up. Right shoulder down. And then, if it makes sense for you, come up on your left tippy fingers and walk those fingers forward. So that you open up your armpit. Notice your abdominals, how stretched they are. You're stretching those obliques. Run from the top of your pelvis up to your ribs. And then on your next exhale, bring that left hand back next to your face. Push the floor away, extract that right arm out and up. And then back into table. Do a couple more cat-cows. And the next time you come to center pause, rise back up onto your heels, maybe your knees. Bring your hands to the back of your hips. Arch your back. You can gaze up or gaze forward. Should have said that before. don't have to look up when you're reaching back into camel. Don't want to stress your cervical spine, your neck. And then reach that left arm up. Bring that arm all the way around behind. Reach for that heel or the block. And if you want to do a full camel, go for it. Both arms. Breathe into your belly. Two more breaths. And on your next exhale, release. Bend your knees more. Bring your hips back down on top of your heels. Spread your knees wide. Coming into child's pose. Walk your hands forward. And round your spine. Try tucking your tailbone again. But most important is just to relax your core. If it makes sense, you can always bring your hands back down by your feet. Let your shoulder blades just float off the sides of your ribs. Experiment here. Your body is recovering from that really intense camel pose. So if the body position that you're in doesn't work particularly well, try something else. You can always come back up into table and do cat-cows, if that makes sense. I find that at different times, different counter poses are much more effective. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands back forward and rise up into table. Do a few cat-cows here. And the next time you come to center pause, from here, walk your knees over to one side of the mat and come down onto a hip. Swing your feet around in front. And then hands behind your hips, come down onto your elbows, all the way onto your back. Bring your hands up towards the ceiling and then down towards the wall beyond your head, and push your heels away from your palms. spread your toes and your fingers and push those away. And then just relax. Let gravity hug your body into your mat. And we're ready to do banana on the other side. So with your hips again super glued to the mat, scoot your shoulders over to the right side of your mat. Boy, that artificial shoulder sounds tough. And then again, without touching your, or without lifting your hips, walk your feet over to the right side. And it doesn't have to be, you know, a real big side bend. And notice if your organs are ejecting, use your breath to shift them around. You can even back up so that you're not quite as intense. And then start to breathe into your left side body, the side that's getting the extra length. You're creating a little bit more space in between each rib as your intercostal muscles separate just a little bit more. Up at the top ribs, top two ribs actually raise up independent of your other ribs as you breathe deeply. So there's extra space there. If you'd like to intensify this, lift your left leg up a couple of inches, place it over the top of your right ankle, and set it back down. And seek that softness. Seek that point that the stretch is accepted by your muscles and then given up to your fascia. And if at some point the pose becomes too easy, you can always intensify it by moving your shoulders or your feet just a little bit more. And if it becomes overwhelming, back up. That is the sign that you know your body well. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, uncross your legs and walk your feet back to center. Bring your head and shoulders back to center, and then return your hands to the front of your body. Carefully bend your knees and walk your footprints up through sit bones and draw one knee into your chest yourself a squeeze. Note which body parts are struggling here initially. And then bring the other knee up. Push your hips away. That will put the small of your back into contact with the mat. And then maybe make some circles with your knees. First one direction. And then the other. And the next pose will require a seated pose, so you can cross your ankles. And if your spine allows you at this point to rock forwards and backwards, you come up. And now you have the other leg for double swan. And again, you have all those same options that you had on the first side. And this is where I like to say this is a good time not to be a spider. Not to be a spider. 8 legs. Okay, so start with your right ankle roughly parallel to the front of the mat. And then try to put your left ankle over the top. And maybe you only get your ankle over ankle, which is fine. Maybe you can get a knee up on, or the heel up on your knee. All that means is that you've been doing it more years. And then once you're there, just sit upright. And rest your hands in a comfortable position on your legs. Let that left sit bone come down to the mat. Allow your eyes to close. Now, if your glutes are complaining here, just reach around behind with one or both hands and just run your hands over your glutes. And just by touching your own body, you're giving your glutes permission to soften. You're telling them that they don't need to be ready to run away because there's not going to be any danger. On your next inhale, open up your eyes. This time, take your right palm, reach forward, palm up, then take that over towards the front left corner of your mat. Take your left elbow underneath the right, and in order to do that, I have to grab onto my left shoulder just to help get that arm a little bit farther over. And then maybe you can bring your palms together, and maybe you're 4 inches shy, like I am. That's okay. Or maybe you want to just grab opposite shoulders. What this is a big inward rotation on both shoulders. And again, lift your elbows up a little bit. Push them away, and then focus on your shoulder blades in back, and then begin to lower those shoulder blades down. Your shoulders are coming away from your ears. And then just rest there. Let gravity work. Then on your next exhale, release. Bring your arms way out to the side, stretch as wide as you can possibly be. Spread your fingers wide, and then bring your palms together. This time, interlace your fingers the opposite way, the way that feels wrong. And then supinate your palms, pushing your palms forward. Notice how different that feels. And then bring those palms up towards the ceiling as your shoulders open up. And then release. Let your arms float back down. Take your left hand up towards the ceiling. Pat yourself on the back so that your index finger is roughly on your spine. Take your right hand out to the side, thumb down, bend your right arm, and then walk that right hand up your back. And maybe you can make a bind on this side. Some people have scapula that prevent this from being performed. Your muscle, your bone structures actually prohibits this movement. So don't worry about it too much. And then release. Bring your hands down and bend your elbows. Pretend you're grabbing baby birds and then rock your forearms forwards and back. And notice how great your hips feel because you haven't been thinking about them. And then release any blocks or anything else that you may have employed. Use your hands to help your feet and your legs come back to center. Bring your hands behind your hips. You can push your heels far away and wave your feet. That's what does it for me, but that might not be what's best for you. You may want to windshield wiper. So maybe right now, change it to windshield wipers. See if that does anything. Experiment. Maybe even do a little yoga bicycle. And then come down onto your elbows. All the way down onto your back. Reach your hands up towards the ceiling. Rotate them down towards the wall beyond your head. And press your palms away from your heels. Your fingers away from your toes. Turn your hands next to your sides. And walk your footprints up towards your sit bones and draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Notice how your hips feel, how those hip sockets are. And the next time you come to center, bring your arms out into T and lower your knees off to the right. Your right hand again can reach up on top of that left knee. Your gaze can be over towards your left hand. And you can extend that left foot way off towards the sidewall. This is Spinal Twist with the IT band stretch. Now, if you don't want to use the IT band stretch, keep both knees bent. Feel this stretch across your chest. Try to slow down your breathing. If your knees are apart, maybe you can use a block to support the upper knee. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your knees back to center. Draw them into your chest, give yourself a squeeze. Make some circles on the ceiling. First one direction, and then go the other direction. This employs different muscles, and they all deserve equal time. The next time you come to center, pause. Release one leg out to the front of the mat. And then release the other leg. Bring your legs the appropriate distance apart for you at this moment. Rock your hips from left to right to find the ideal location for your sacrum on your mat. Bring your arms out by your side or into T, wherever feels best for your shoulders. If you wish, you can walk your shoulder blades more underneath your back. Stretch your spine long. Lift your head an inch, tuck your chin, and carefully lower back down, giving your spine a little bit of traction. Take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose and exhale it out through your nose. Take another cleansing breath in through your nose, out through your nose, and take rest. I'll be coming around and adjusting some of you. I will not get to everyone. If you do not want me to touch you, just wave me away when you hear my footprints. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your space. Bring movement to your fingers, into your toes, to your wrists, into your ankles. Gently roll your head from left to right. And when you're ready, walk your footprints up towards your sit bones. Draw your knees into your chest and give yourself a squeeze. And rock from left to right, or make circles. And the next time you come over towards your right side, come all the way over into fetal pose, using your right hand as a pillow, right arm as a pillow. And scan your body for any residual tension that may be lurking inside your tissues so that you can address it later this week. And then using the strength in your left hand, push the floor away. Rise up to a seated position. Thank you for sharing your yoga with me this afternoon. Thank you for all the work that you do to keep your body and your mind healthy through the practice of yoga. Take the peace and the kindness and the compassion that you practice every time you step on your mat with you everywhere you go and share it with everyone you meet. Namaste. My name is Clint, and this has been Yin Yoga. Thank you.